Hey friends, my name is Steve Guttenberg and I am the audiophiliac, and today I want to tell you about Frank Sinatra and his audiophile ways. But before I get there, if you dig these videos that I do every day, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, tell your friends, etc., etc. Anyway, back to Frank. So Frank was a hippie. You know, he started his own record company, Reprise Records, in 1960. He was done with Capitol. He wanted to start his own label so that he could have artistic freedom, and the people, the artists that he was signing to his label, would also have artistic freedom. Frank Sinatra, Frank Sinatra, of course, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, of course his daughter, Nancy Sinatra, eventually even Neil Young, but that's another story, and Jimi Hendrix. So anyway, I'm thinking about all of this because of this record. This is called the Concert Sinatra. This was my mother's record. She bought this when it came out in 1963. And I eventually got my hands on it. It's beat to hell because she played it incessantly. And anyway, I'm looking at the record and I see this little notification here. So Frank felt it was important to tell everyone on the front cover of the record that this record was recorded with 24 RCA 44BX ribbon microphones. Let that sink in, right? There were 73 musicians playing on this set. It was recorded on an MGM soundstage. Take a gander at all those musicians being paid union scale to make that record. And also lots of engineers too. And there's more technical information on the back cover of the record. So, you know, Frank cared. He really did. Now, a couple of years ago, more than a couple, 4 or 5 years ago, I had a Beyonce album that came out. And I liked the record. I don't remember which record it was. I didn't like it that much. But anyway, I'm looking at the liner notes, and I'm trying to find the musician that played on her record. There weren't any musicians listed. There are clearly musicians that played there. And I'm looking around, and it said, for more information, go to the Beyonce website. So I go to the Beyonce website, and I found information about who did her hair, and whose gowns she was wearing, etc., etc. But I don't think I ever found out who played on the record. So it's kind of weird, you know, that by the time Beyonce rolls around, we get information about her hair, but nothing about the people who make the record. It's just kind of weird. So anyway, Frank starts this record, this label Reprise, and he wasn't much of a businessman. He sold 2/3 of the label, of the ownership of the label, to Warner Brothers in 1963. And they still have it, as far as I know. And Neil Young is there, and the Kinks, and Jimi Hendrix and stuff. But, you know, Frank was an audiophile of some sort. There's pictures of him that I'll probably put on the front of this of him with his 3-channel stereo, presumably in the late 50s or early 60s, and reel-to-reel tape machines in his beautiful Palm Springs home, etc., etc. But it's just amazing. And the other thing that's fascinating about looking at this cover of this record is that look at those microphones. There are 24 of them, right? But anyway, look at where they're placed, right? They are placed over the musicians, not in front of them, except for Frank. Frank is definitely has his mic in front of him. But everybody else, the mics are hanging over them, because after all, there were 24 microphones and 73 musicians, so not everybody had their own mic, so no one was close mic'd. And all of those microphones are picking up everything. They're picking, you know, the string players mics are picking up the horns, vice versa, percussion. All of that is leaking through all of those microphones, which creates this gorgeous open sound. And that's the other thing. They talk about the reverberation on this record, which was provided courtesy of the actual recording studio. It wasn't added as an after effect in mixing. It was the natural reverberation of this studio. Quite a change from Beyonce, right? So, as they say, it was a different world in 1963, and in some ways better, in some ways a lot worse. But it's just something to think about. That's the reason I bring all this up, is I want to make people think. Answers, there's not. Answers are one thing. Questions are something else. I specialize in questions. If you want answers, I don't know. Look around. They're all over the internet. See you again real